What's up, everybody? I'm Jon Schnepp, and you're watching Collider Heroes. We're episode 34. That's right, episode 34. We're rocking it this week. As usual, we got me and we got John Campea.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I still can't believe it's the 34th episode.
I know.
I feel like we just decided we were going to do the show.
It does. It's a few months ago, or now it's more than a few months ago.
Yeah, it's been long.
We also have a special guest, Umberto Gonzalez from Heroic Hollywood. Thanks for coming by.
Hey, everyone.
Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me aboard. And
yeah,
congrats
man.
on number 34, man. It's good to always be on whenever
I swore it wouldn't last past 5.
I know. I remember saying, I think we'll have to cancel it on episode 3. But here we are. So let's rock right into some headlines. Before we get to our number one topic, we got Umberto on, and he had a pretty big scoop that I want to address. So it's a spoiler-heavy scoop. We don't know if it's, obviously it's a few years away, so we'll see what happens in the actual movie. But I'm going to wave my hands, and when I wave them again, we're done talking about spoilers. So let's talk about, if you want to just skip over this right now and go right to when the little highlight thing goes to Marvel versus DC. Otherwise, we're going to get right into this. So I'm giving you a minute.
You've been warned.
You have been warned. Let's get right into it. So we're going to talk about, throw that image up. There we go.
Beautiful image.
Captain Marvel. And this is Captain Marvel from the Kree universe. The first Captain Marvel, at least Marvel's first Captain Marvel. We're not talking about Shazam or DC's Captain Marvel. Umberto, you scooped this on Heroic Hollywood. Why don't you talk about what this entails as far as Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Well, James Gunn just went on the record right now, literally moments before we came on, to debunk that it's not true or that the rumors surrounding Peter's lineage is not true. But my thing is attention to detail. Okay, he wasn't really specific. It's within the realm of possibility. It comes from 4 individuals I trust. One who gave me the director of Star Wars Episode 9, who has no reason to lie to me, quite frankly, internally. Come on. So, but everything is within the realm of possibility, and they're still 2 years out. A rewrite could easily make this look wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back here and I'll apologize to all you, including Marvel. But I've been doing this now 13 years. I get the anti-spoiler culture rant, and there's some truth to it, sure. Right. But so getting back to the original story, rumor is that Captain Marvel, Silver Age Marvel, is supposedly Peter Quill's father, and that's going to have a bigger implication. Here's my thing. Marvel's never deviated from origin in terms of their cinematic characters. Captain America gets the super soldier serum, Stark gets trapped on his chest, Hulk gets exposed to gamma radiation. Carol Danvers is confirmed to be on the slate, correct?
Yep.
How'd she get her powers?
Right.
From this individual,
right. From
Marvel. They did it in the cartoon, they've done it numerous times in the book, and it's within the realm of possibility. Before 2019, we see Marvel, this individual, in the movies, and from what I was told for the past couple of months, I had one source and another, then another, and then I'm not without my critics, and I listen to them, so I went and made sure, and I got 4 individuals on this, including one who gave me the biggest Star Wars casting scoop of the year. Come on, what are the chances?
Right. Okay,
look, we're also living now in an era where and I could cite a dozen examples, okay? And if I'm going to wave, I'm going to spoil Spectre, where individuals are going on the record saying this is not true and that's not true. Writers, producers, directors, actors. Right. Blofeld was denied heavily on the record in the Hollywood paper record. What happened? It's Blofeld.
Dark Knight Rises.
Exactly.
There are a lot of denials.
I get what he's saying, okay? And I'm not saying he's not wrong either.
Right.
Okay, I get it. But it could be true. It could be true. It could not be true, okay? So as I'm just going to stick to my 4 sources. Again, right. One gave me the biggest Star Wars news of the year, a month before it was reported at D23.
Right.
What are the chances, man? Come on.
Well, let me address it. Like, say this is true. I think it makes perfect sense and actually works really well within what Marvel, the cinematic universe, has already established. Not only is he a Kree, which is the Terrigen Mist that agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are dealing with introducing the Inhumans on television, but this is a way to introduce the Inhumans movie in a bigger cinematic realm, using the Kree, as well as introduce not only the Inhumans, but Carol Danvers. So I think it's kind of a natural fit. It fits better than making Warlock or some of the other characters that are part of the cosmic Marvel
Matthew, excuse
universe.
me for 1 second, though. In my story originally, I suspected Okay, again, I went to Forces. Just get me a name. Don't get me details. That's how you get into trouble when they start prying.
Right.
I just got a name. The rest I had to figure out. So the Inhuman part is speculation on my part. That's where I'm saying I think it could be. I could be wrong on that. Okay,
Well, no,
and again, a rewrite could happen. But based on what I know from the comic book retail level, they're pushing this book hard.
Right.
I mean, they buried Fantastic Four. They want this property to be their potent mutant book. It's not selling as well as they would like.
Right.
And then they're pushing on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why wouldn't they push it in the movies?
Well, yeah, I think you'll see them pushing in the movies because it makes sense. They need to introduce not only the Kree, which they've already introduced, but they introduce the Terrigen myths on a bigger, more epic scale.
What other ancient races are left?
Exactly.
Quite frankly, come on.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. This is why the reason why this makes sense is because this is very, very consistent with the fact that Marvel, in both its television universes and its movie universes, well, now we're going to start to get glimpses of it in the movie universe, are really trying to shove the Inhumans down our throats. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's great that you're trying to give us this new, that to a lot of people is a brand new, set of characters. I mean, they've been around a long time, but to a lot of people, the casual fans, this is a brand new set of characters, and they're trying to make them the new X-Men in every way they can. If you look at the history of the Kree, and now you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and where they say, where the Inhumans come from, we know where the humans come from, they have Kree roots, all that kind of stuff. This makes sense. This triangle piece of the puzzle fits into that empty space. And and you're right. Right from the beginning, you and I never liked any of the theories about who Peter Quill's dad is. We never liked that, it would be Nova or it would be, Adam Warlock or anything like that. We never liked any of those theories. This fits in really well. Like you said, it keeps it consistent. They like keeping their hero origins consistent.
Yes.
And if they're going to do that with Carol Danvers, this is one step they have to take. So it just fits. It makes sense. And if it's true, it's a brilliant move by Marvel for this. I think it's a genius move by Gunn and Marvel to make that the case.
And I think I read James Gunn's statement on Facebook, and he might be upset that this.
He's very salty, and I don't blame him either.
This is revealed, but in the same breath, I feel like, hey, look, we live in this culture where people I don't want the Force Awakens to get ruined for me, so I'm trying.
I draw the line there. I draw the line there.
With your life with some people.
I'm trying to avoid spoilers on that. We live in this world where media, like The Walking Dead, something I didn't want to see, I'm checking my Facebook page and I see that and I'm pissed because I'm trying to avoid that. Oh, you didn't watch it right when it aired? You have to live in this world where you got to be constant about
I didn't watch Jessica Jones and it got spoiled for me completely on social media.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's that's the world we live in. So it's if you can avoid things, you try to avoid them. But a lot of people get really upset by casually glancing on social media. Sorry, if you're on social media, you're going to have certain things, I guess, ruined or spoiled for you. But in the same breath, I think by learning that maybe Captain Marvel, the Silver Age Captain Marvel, is the proper father to Peter Quill, that it makes so much sense. I wouldn't, I would hope that Gunn and the rest of Marvel don't erase it from the script, that they keep whatever they've got because it makes so much sense and it's a perfect introduction to the Inhumans and Carol Danvers. So maybe they're going to just say, look, we don't want to talk about anything until the movie's out.
That's what he just
said, So, I mean, to each his own. I feel like these kinds of spoilers happen all the time.
I was respectful, though. Again, I only asked for a name, and I'm respectful to the anti-spoiler crowd. I didn't get details or ask for specifics again. I just wanted the name. The rest, you got to leave some mystery. But with all due respect to Mr. James Gunn, okay, we spoiled his last movie with 100% accuracy. We broke Thanos, a bunch of other castings. So we ran the early review. The movie still made $800 million. If what I do affects box office in a negative way, I'll stop, of course. I'm not out to hurt the movies. I'm just here to generate excitement.
Well, yeah,
and these millennials love this stuff.
If it's not you, someone else will break the story. So it's these kinds of things, these spoilers end up kind of leaking out, whether people want them to or not. I'm sure
they definitely don't want
someone's going to leak something about Star Wars, and all of us are going to be pissed at some point.
Yeah, it comes out a day before in December.
Yeah, all the Swedes. You guys in Sweden, you better not ruin it for us stuck in America not being able to see it. Let's move on to the official first topic. We got Batman versus Captain America versus Superman versus Iron Man. It's the dawn of justice versus Civil War. We got Batman versus Captain America versus Superman versus Iron Man. Next year, we have movies where the heroes not only go head-to-head against each other, but also square off with the opposing company universes for box office domination. My question, who's the real winner here? John Campea.
The real winner is both. I mean, that's the real winner. Because, you know, I've tried to say this for a long time to these brain dead idiots who pick, I'm a Marvel guy, right? Just shut your stupid mouth. All right. I'm so sick of these like nitwits who is like just swear allegiance to their corporate masters, whether it's DC or Marvel. I'm a comic book movie fan. And that's what most of the people in the world are, by the way, not these half brain dead nitwits, all right? But here's the thing. The reason why both win is because of this. Don't think for a second that that Batman versus Superman and the folks at DC are hoping that Captain America Civil War fails. They don't, because Civil War comes first, right?
Yep.
Yes. They're not hoping
BVS
it fails.
comes first. It comes out in March.
Oh,
Yeah,
BVS comes out in March.
Batman comes first.
Sorry,
Yeah, Batman
the other
versus
way.
Superman, yeah.
So don't think for a second that the folks at Marvel are hoping that Batman versus Superman fails. They're not. They understand. They're all living and swimming in the same pool. The things that the people at Marvel want more than anything else in the world is a kick-ass, awesome Batman versus Superman movie that people go crazy over and does huge business. Why? Because then they had an awesome time at the theater going to a comic book movie. They had a great time. You know what they're going to do 6 weeks later? They're going to go see Captain America Civil War.
Right.
Because they're so psyched up. And guess what? Even the people at Marvel and DC understand this. They understand that it's an old cliche, but a rising tide raises all ships, and they know it, and they're living in that pool together. And who wins? They both win.
Right.
And they want each other to succeed because the other guy's success leads to their success. And they understand that. I wish more people would understand that.
Umberto, how about you?
I couldn't have said it better myself. You know, I'm going to add to what he said. Very beautifully spoken, by the way. The fans win. Okay, fans end up winning. Okay.
Yep.
I get trolled all the time. Oh, you're pro DC or you're pro Marvel. No, I'm pro fanboy. Okay. I love these properties. Like last night's news that they pulled Fantastic Four 2 off the slate, regardless of the performance of the first one. It saddened me. I don't want to see these movies fail. They're juggernauts that make $500 million to 1.5 billion worldwide.
Right.
I want both of these to work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but watch, it's going to be a pissing contest over who has more box office next year. Unfortunately, that's the culture we live in. But both of them deserve their proper platform to succeed, overwhelmingly succeed, because we win. We have something to talk about. I mean, I started an outlet to cover these movies. I don't want to see them fail at all, ever. And based with the mania going on with them right now, they're going to both do fine. But I think they're going to both do exceptionally. I mean, they're going to do exceptionally well, probably pick up the box office, so especially BVS. There's just a rabid attention span for these two movies, especially Batman v Superman, unlike I've ever seen 3 years before a movie's release.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Batman v Superman is those characters have never been in a cinematic world together.
Yes.
You have Captain America and Iron Man have already been in a couple movies together.
Right.
So this is kind of going to be like Captain America versus Iron Man. So they are kind of
with Spider-Man
thrown
in for good measure.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious winner, the fans are the winners, the studios are the winners.
But it's not to look like I'm sidestepping your question, though. I will give an answer to this. Sure. If we're going to say which one now. As to the question, there are two questions here. Which movie will be better? Which movie will make more? As to the question is which movie will be better, no idea. I haven't got the slightest clue at this point. It's not sidestepping the question. I just have nothing to base an answer on. Which movie will make more? It's going to be Batman versus Superman is going to make more. For all the reasons you said, this is something we have been waiting for decades. We have never had Batman and Superman on the same screen together. The trailers have created an insane amount of buzz. Like you haven't heard this kind of talk about a movie 3 years out, other than Star Wars. You know? So which one will make more money? It's going to be Batman versus Superman. I kind of suspect, based on nothing at all, that Captain America Winter Soldier may be the better movie. I'm just guessing because they've got a longer track record at this point. They've got better chemistry between all the cast at this point. So I'm taking a wild guess. Who knows, really? But Batman vs. Superman will win the box office battle between these two.
Umberto, what do you think? Which one will win the box office battle?
All right, based on my analytics, based on my own site and stuff, when I post anything with Batman v Superman, it could be on a slipper or a T-shirt. It's like I broke a scoop. I'm serious. Anything marketing, anything related, anything that has the word Batman v Superman in the story does blockbuster traffic. Captain America and Iron Man have already been in movies together and stuff. So to some people, not all, the novelty is worn thin. Like you said, we never seen Superman and Batman in the movie together. No. Okay, it's been in the works for years.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, our entire lives.
Entire lives. So it's still, it might have a slight edge, maybe opening weekend or so. It also, both are subject to execution. Who knows? Both movies might be great, both movies might be bad, both movies might be boring. Who knows?
Right.
But BVS, based again on analytics alone, I'd give the slight edge.
I would hate to say this, but I have to say this. Transformers 4 made, like over $1 billion, and critics hated it. So it's like, even if Batman v Superman, everybody just cracks on it, it's still going to break $1 billion because it's Batman v Superman. I personally hope it launches DC's universe in the proper way. We already know Wonder Woman's a big part of it. And there, we've heard rumors that all these other characters are going to make little cameos and this and that. I know a lot of fans are like, don't ruin it by chucking everybody in there. Just look at Avengers. That had everybody in there, and it worked great. So I feel like they're using the Marvel recipe to go with how they're introducing, Justice League, but just doing it a little reverse engineering style. They had Man of Steel, then they get Batman in there, chuck a couple intros for some of the other characters like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and then there you have Justice League. So, I think, like I said, we all win having these amazing giant blockbuster films that when we were little kids, we could only dream that we'd ever get.
Never happen.
Never in a million years did I ever think that we'd see the Avengers, a movie with those characters. None of us.
None of the three of us at this table are currently our age, quite frankly.
Well, that didn't look like a Roger Corman movie at any rate.
Exactly. If it was like some kind of low-budget crap fest, maybe we'd be like, well, that's what we expect, But no, we're seeing films done at the highest quality level possible, the biggest budgets possible.
The biggest stars, the biggest actors, the biggest directors, the biggest producers. Never would we have ever thought that would be the case of comic book movies.
Yeah, so besides Star Wars The Force Awakens, I cannot wait to see Batman v Superman, and then right up there is Captain America Civil War, because it's just a fun time to enjoy these kinds of fantasy films. Let's move on to the next one. We got Jessica Jones premieres. There's talk of a second season already, and The Defenders. So Melissa Rosenberg, the showrunner, the creator, and the writer of the Jessica Jones television show, talked about making season 2, how that would work, and she mentioned that there's a contractual time slot to making the Defenders series. Now, obviously, Brian Michael Bendis, he's a creator of the comic book. They, when the television people come in, the showrunners, they're credited as creators of the show. Melissa is also writing the show. Jessica Jones she's basically writing all of Jessica Jones' dialogue. She's very close to the character. You guys haven't had a chance to see it yet. I watched about 7 episodes. Yeah, roughly 7 episodes. Almost finished episode 7. I think it's fantastic. It's a different style than Daredevil. And yes, all you sweaty nerds, I finally finished Daredevil. It was amazing. I was saying Vincent D'Onofrio should be winning some Emmys, and I'm saying that he killed it as Wilson Fisk. Yeah. Incredible. I thought that was just fantastic. The series was really great. It was the best Daredevil I've ever seen. Jessica Jones, totally different. Tonally, totally different. Went really dark, stayed dark. It's not a lot of humor in it. So I'd like to see having not finished Jessica Jones, I'm not going to throw it to you guys to say what you think about Jessica Jones per se, but what do you think about a contractual time slot? Because that's what I wanted to get to. Like Melissa mentioned, look, Daredevil already got a season 2. Even before they finished, they started airing a week and a half later. They were like, yo, season 2 is already announced because of the response, the positive response. Jessica Jones is also getting that kind of buzz, that kind of positive response. Will it get a season 2? And if it does, will it happen before or after the Defenders, which is relying on them establishing not only Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and supposedly Iron Fist. Yeah. So we don't even know now. We've heard rumors Iron Fist is just going to be a movie now. It's not going to be a series. Moon Knight's going to be replacing Iron Fist. We don't know what's going to be replacing Iron Fist. We don't know what's happening with the Defenders, but hearing that there's a contractual time slot that they have to shoot the Defenders, what do you guys think about that? John?
It is... The waters have become muddied in the past few months with the splitting of Kevin Feige, Perlmutter, and then whoever is running the Netflix side. Because you were bringing up something very, very key and important here before we started this show. It's not just Kevin Feige and Perlmutter. Perlmutter doesn't control the Marvel shows that are on Netflix. Right. Kevin Feige does not control the shows that are on Netflix. You basically got 3 separate entities that claim to inhabit the same world, yet are totally different from each other. And so I am a little bit curious about who's higher up the pecking order at this point. Like if Kevin Feige says, you know what, I want to use Iron Fist. I want to have Iron Fist in my. Does that then say to the group that's overseeing the Netflix stuff, sorry, you can't use him now because it's the same world. This isn't like DC, who is doing it, in my opinion, the better way, which is you can have a TV version of one hero and still use him in the movies in another way if you want and tell all these different stories. Not so in this Marvel universe. They've handcuffed themselves. The fact that, oh, well, if Kevin Feige wants to use Iron Fist, then television don't get to use them at all. I hate that. I really do. Will there be a season 2? Absolutely. These shows, Daredevil is getting the type of buzz on Netflix that they didn't get since season 1 of House of Cards.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that's very true.
This is so huge for them. And Jessica Jones is partially thanks to Daredevil, is getting that same level of buzz. I understand the timing and all that kind of stuff, but there is money to be made, and where there's money to be made, ways will be made. So I have no doubt there's going to be season 2.
How about you?
Absolutely. It's overwhelmingly, the response has been positive. Critics love it. Audiences seem to love it all over social media by what I'm seeing. So it's within the realm of possibility that they do season 2 right after the Defenders. I don't see why not.
It could happen before the Defenders, too.
Probably
Yeah,
could.
I-
It depends,
theoretically.
it depends on when Netflix looks at their internal metrics and see how it
Right.
performed.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have access to that. Neither does the press. So that's their mechanism.
Well, we know that Daredevil season 2 is already shooting, and it's got the Punisher in it.
Right,
So
yeah.
Luke Cage already shooting. So we got Jessica Jones season 2. Is that going to happen? Are they going to say just rock on, move forward, Melissa, write season 2 before they get to either Iron Fist or Moon Knight?
I think they will.
I think it would make sense because establishing Jessica Jones into a season 2, hopefully before they do the Defenders, could be the smart move. They're already saying, like, Daredevil season 2 is going to be dropping in April, and then Luke Cage is going to be dropping a little bit after that. So, will we see Jessica Jones next year? I don't know about that, but we'll probably see it the following year, maybe the same year as the Defenders. But
that's
I think,
actually pretty.
Yeah, I
probably,
think Melissa did a great job as far as the episodes that I saw of really pushing the boundaries of what we've seen in Marvel characters and what's, it's a really adult take. I can't say that like kids should be watching Jessica Jones, like kids, like when I'm saying kids, I mean like 7 and 8 year olds. Teens, you should be watching Jessica Jones, but it's very adult when I say that in many ways. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely do yourself a favor. Watch Jessica Jones. Me and John are going to be doing a recap show of not only Daredevil the entire season, but we're also going to do Jessica Jones the entire season. We're going to try to fit that into our super busy schedule in the next 2 weeks, and we'll drop that on Collider very soon. We're looking forward to doing that. Next up, we got Legends of Tomorrow, set for January 16th premiere. A brand new trailer rocks out. The DC Super Team is on the schedule for 2016. They're out of the gate January 16th in a time-traveling brand new series featuring the Atom. You got Rip Hunter, you got Captain Cold, Heatwave, Firestorm, HawkGirl and Hawkman, White Canary, and all fighting the futuristic villain Vandal Savage. So, I mean, look, we've seen a couple of different trailers drop. Some were okay, some were better. I watched the trailer last night. I really like the feeling of this brand new series. To me, it has this weird adventure tone where every episode they're going to be in a different. It's like Time Jumpers or what was that? Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
What is it? Sliders. I always think of like White Castle. Sliders.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sliders.
so you know what I'm saying? It's like it's got that flavor to it where they're going to be popping around history but correcting stuff from this evil future villain.
Sliders starred that one guy who I always confuse for Jason Bateman.
It's the guy who married Rebecca Romijn.
Really?
Yeah. Jerry
O'Connell.
O'Connell.
That's it. I always confuse him with. I always get him and Jason Bateman.
He's the guy. I always remember him as the guy who married Rebecca Romijn. So,
too.
what do you guys think? Let me start with you, Umberto. Legends of Tomorrow. Did you get a chance to see the trailer? What do you think of the series?
But I haven't had a chance.
What do you think of the series? The idea of it?
I don't know. It seems great. These CW shows are performing well. I think Flash is having a great season. I haven't seen an episode, but I'm just going by the perception and the temperature. Flash is having a good season. Arrow. Okay, and then they're going to merge those two together, like for
some crossovers every year.
Crossovers. So this seems like a good idea. But it's interesting you bring up earlier that you think having separate divisions, like where Warner's is bifurcating their IP, basically a TV unit and a movie unit. I have to respectfully disagree. I could be wrong.
Many people do. Many people do.
I could be wrong. I think it may hurt the brand. I could be wrong again. It may hurt the brand long term, like with the movies and stuff. You don't see Marvel doing that. They're trying to create a cohesive universe. The same people who still think our president is still a Muslim are probably going to think, wait, there's a Flash on the TV show and there's a Flash in the movie. I'm confused here. There's going to be people that are going to be very confused by that, you know.
Right.
But no, more power to the CW and WBTV. People seem to be enjoying these shows. It's a good thing.
What do you think, John? Legends of Tomorrow.
Stupid. I think it looks so stupid. I really do. Now, before I go into why, all right, let me call myself out. Okay. I'm the same guy who said I thought Flash was a stupid idea, and it is now my favorite comic book related show on TV.
Okay. So are we saying you get ready to flip on January 16th?
So hey, look,
you never know.
That's an example of, look, have your opinion, have your prediction, but be ready to go into it with an open mind.
Yep.
My prediction was I thought Flash looked stupid. I thought it looked dumb, and I watched it. I'm like, you know what? Holy shit, I'm on board. This is great, and I love that show. They just had an episode with Grodd that was so good. Anyway. But yes, this looks really stupid. I haven't liked a single one of the trailers yet. And I love Captain Cold. Like, his character in The Flash, played by Warren Miller, is so good. He's become one of my favorite characters on the show. They resurrected the White Canary, who she was dead. She was one of my favorite characters on Arrow for a long time. That show went to shit as soon as they killed her off. And now they're bringing her back to put her into a different show. I felt nothing, felt no chemistry to it. It just felt like a hodgepodge conglomerate of desperation. We need another CW show. Let's throw something together. But 16th comes, we go into it with an open mind. Maybe it impresses us. And they certainly got some cool characters.
Hey, man, if Legends of Tomorrow is awesome, I will be saying, let's do a recap show.
I'll be super happy. Yeah. I want it to be great.
And, you know, it's really hard to tell with these shows. Like, I was also in the same camp with you on Flash, and I watched it after you. You were like, Schnepp, you should be watching The Flash. I was like, hang on, I got other things to do. Then I was on an airplane, and I was like, hey, look, there's 5 episodes of The Flash, and I'm on a 16-hour flight. I think I'm watching these 5. I'll just check it out. I smoked through those so quickly that I was like, where are the other 15? You know, I want to see them, but I was stuck on an airplane. I couldn't access them. Got back to real life. Still have not even been able to get into that because I'm trying to finish Daredevil and all these other shows. But my mission over the next, like, before the end of this year is to see all the way through season 2 of The Flash, because it's a really fun superhero show. It's a fun adventure show. I got teary-eyed a little bit in 1 or 2 of the episodes of The Flash. It's really, really well written. So, I mean, I got to say, The Flash, of all of the shows so far that I've seen that are just killing it on TV, all DC is just murdering it on television.
Oh, yeah.
I love Supergirl. I thought this was really fun. It's got a Buffy kind of fun flavor to it. It's like a little more humor than some of the other darker, like spookier or like gothic kind of characters that you have. Well, Flash isn't dark or gothic, but I'm just saying it's like Supergirl's a little more lighthearted. So if you put that on, it's not going to be like grim and gritty like Man of Steel. It's not that dark universe that the movies have. It's very much a little more lighthearted.
Let me go on to Rap Trailers for a second.
Yeah.
They just had an episode 2 weeks ago that was on The Flash. It was one, I don't know if you're up to date on The Flash or not, but they had this episode where Zoom shows up, and it is one of the most phenomenal ass kickings on TV. I mean, Zoom beats the living shit out of Flash, and then after beating the shit out of him, he drags him around the city, takes him to the cops, police station. This is your hero. Takes him to the news stations. This is your hero. And it's like breaks his back and all this guy. It's awesome. They're doing some great stuff on Flash, man. Very excited. And maybe they can carry some of that magic over to Legends of Tomorrow.
I think Legends of Tomorrow is going to just have this different flavor that I think they've been really smart with each of these different series that's on, like whether it's the CW or Supergirl and CBS.
Right.
I don't know if it's all Greg Berlanti. Is he in charge of all this stuff?
I'm not really sure.
If he is, he's a magician, because it's like all of them have a different little flavor, and I feel like Legends of Tomorrow is definitely going to fill that we're going to different centuries. Every episode is going to have. It's not only going to
different time period.
Yeah, it's going to be evergreen, so to speak, but it's also going to have an ongoing story. Like, we got to stop.
And I love cheering for Brandon Routh. I love Brandon Routh.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good guy.
I love seeing him pop up and stuff and seeing him succeed. I just think he's a terrific performer. I love seeing him pop up.
So we're really looking forward to seeing Legends of Tomorrow. January 16th next year, brand new series. We're going to be checking it out. Here we go with some news that I never thought I'd have to say. Fantastic Four 2 officially removed from the 2017 lineup. Yep.
No.
They did, John.
I don't believe it.
It's official, dude. It happened. Box Office Mojo silently slipped it in. Yes, last night, Fox has removed Fantastic Four 2 from any release schedule, replacing it with Murder on the Orient Express. Now, is the first family returning to Marvel, Or is they just getting Fox? Is Fox just giving it a tune-up and they're going to say, look, 2018, brand new Fantastic Four? John, what do you think?
Well, I mean, look, it is certainly just recently Simon Pegg, we talked about this a little bit on Movie Talk. Simon Kinberg just recently said, oh, no, we got plans for Fantastic Four. I said, okay, we've heard that before. It is certainly within the realm of possibility that, look, if Fox is completely committed to do another Fantastic Four, then it would make sense that, look, they just got the crap kicked out of them. They need to step back, retool, forget that 2017 release date. You ain't ever going to make it, especially if you're going to try to retool again. And then it would make sense that they're pushing it to 18th. That is totally possible. That being said, I do lean towards a side of believing I think Fox is getting ready to wave the white flag. They've taken several swings at this, and they've missed every time. They are having so much success right now with their Marvel properties. X-Men is riding a high right now like you wouldn't believe. Deadpool might be the most anticipated comic book feature they've ever had. People are losing their minds over this, and they're even getting good buzz over Gambit. So they're riding this high, and then they got Fantastic Four.
Right.
And I think at this point, they're just ready to go, you know what? We're having tons of success. We got lots of characters we can spin off from the X-Men universe. Deadpool if we want. We have beaten this franchise in the ground. Totally possible we're going to hear about Fantastic Four 2 in 2018, but I do kind of lean towards the idea that, you know what, I think Fox has given up. What do you think, Umberto?
I think you might be correct. I think they're going to reevaluate this and reassess and probably reschedule. I just don't see them giving up this kind of IP yet. Or maybe, if they do, they're using it for a bigger play with the parent company like Marvel, the way Sony did with Spider-Man. Not necessarily give it away, but like share, find some sort of synergy to work with Marvel proper and Disney. It's within the realm of possibility, but it was a little saddening. I mean, they got clobbered. Okay, the movie's unwatchable. Let's keep it around. But there were, the first two parts, the first two acts. It was shaping up to be something okay until that third act.
I thought it had promise the first act.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought the first act it had promise.
None of us were within the first 45 minutes saying, "What is this garbage?
No,
Why
exactly.
is everybody hating
That's
it?"
been my point.
But it's like that is a classic case of when you hear about studio interference, people are going to have college courses taught about it while watching Fantastic Four. It's a case study. It's a breakdown.
You could see when the executives put their hands on the print.
You can totally see the messed up parts about an hour into the film. I personally think Phase 4 of Marvel is going to be Phase 4 of Fantastic Four. I think
Phase
Fox
4.
Fantastic Four. The first family is returning to Marvel in a big way. And why I think this, not only has Fox failed multiple times with Fantastic Four. I mean, they made okay money with the first two horrible ones, and they made a sequel. Obviously, they're making money, but it was just garbage. So they did this brand new Ultimates version. That didn't work either. I think what makes sense is Marvel Disney releases the rights for X-Men video games, X-Men merchandise, toys, gives it over to Fox, because Fox is never going to let go of X-Men. They've got that. It's in an iron grip. They got all the mutants inside of there. It's never getting opened. Galactus will be opened. Fantastic Four has Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, Galactus, lesser-known characters like the Skrulls, like Molecule Man, like a whole bunch of these other characters that no one's... Psycho Man, that's introduced in the Microverse, that was introduced in Fantastic Four. So certain characters that were introduced in Fantastic Four, like Inhumans and Black Panther, Marvel has. But all of them had their origins and their first stories told, just like Adam Warlock, in Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is Marvel's first comic book. It's the one that started Marvel. It's the daddy, the mommy, the everything that created Marvel Comics. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's very first superhero comic, first superhero team, even before Justice League. That's the one that they want back, only for the proper chance to have it redone and done right in the history of what Marvel Cinematic Universe is all about. I think it's really important for them to get that back. Fox has already staked claim on X-Men. Give them, I would say, if I was Marvel, I'd be like, look, give them the toys, and more importantly, give them the video game rights to have that as X-Men. We'll share a little of that flavor, like Marvel. Keep a little of that money, a little of that Disney money. Let them have that video game money, which is giant. That's bigger than all box office movies and TV shows combined. Video games, Wolverine video games, X-Men video games, Gambit, Deadpool, all that kind of stuff. You'll see that in the next couple of years if they give Fantastic Four and Galactus and Doctor Doom and Silver Surfer back to Marvel. I think that's the smart play. I don't think the smart play is like, we're going to tune it back up, we're going to release a fifth version, or for Fox it would be a fourth version. We're not counting the Roger Corman aborted one. So I think it makes sense. Return it to Marvel and Marvel, in fairness, give Fox the ability to get those video games, get those you know, that kind of ancillary product, the toys and the video games, that money to go with the actual movies. And obviously Fox is doing television series. They've got Legion, they've got the Hellfire Club. It's not going back to Marvel. So that's why Inhumans is being pushed really hard by Marvel, because that's their replacement for the X-Men. That's their replacement for the mutants. It's
they're asking,
the Inhumans.
I'm sorry, but they're asking retailers to buy 100,000 copies, like when those books first came out. No, order it, and retailers didn't want it, but they were being stuffed down their throats. If anyone can make it happen to work like he did with Sony, it's Feige.
Yeah, and I think Feige and the people at Fox are going to make some kind of deal. I think that's the hint that we just got, is that thing getting pulled. They're like, look, we're not even saying Fantastic Four 2 is even a reality more. That's gone. Forget about it. We got Gambit. We got X-Men. Bryan Singer, we've already heard he's returning to X-Men. You know, a year after he does 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, he's going to return back to the X-Men, producer or director in some capacity for the brand new X-Men. We don't know what it's going to be, but Fox has got that part of it handled. I don't have any qualms about them continuing on with the mutants that they've got and having fun with X-Men. I'm glad with what they've done with Days of Future Past. I'm really looking forward to X-Men Apocalypse, but I think the time is now to give it back to Marvel. That's what I think.
Okay.
Let's move on to Wonder Woman. A brand new picture, and the entire cast has been revealed. A new picture of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman went online this week, as well as the official cast was also announced. So we've got Chris Pine, Robin Wright, Danny Huston, David Thewlis, Lucy Davis, Ewan Bremner, Said Tagma, and Elena Anaya. What characters do you think that they're going to be playing in the Wonder Woman film? Now, we already know that Chris Pine has been cast as Steve Trevor.
Right.
We've seen some pictures of him maybe from World War I or II, and we know that roughly the storyline is going to take place in the past and the present. John, how about some of these other actors, and who do you think, you know, we had mentioned last week and 2 weeks before, Nicole Kidman, I mean, Eva Green, and Sean Bean. They had been mentioned, and they're nowhere to be seen. So who among these actors are going to be replacing them?
Yeah, it was a real surprise to me, because it sounded like it was pretty much a done deal, especially with Nicole Kidman.
They made the offer to her. She just passed.
Yeah, it sounded like, so I don't know if this was another situation of not wanting the multiple film deals or anything like that, which I found very odd. I think this would have been a great fit for Nicole Kidman. I think this would have been a really nice vehicle for her, but for whatever reason, didn't work, and I'm sure they made what was the best decision for them. I think what you're talking about, I think Robin Wright is clearly the plan B to Nicole Kidman.
She was one of the original contenders for that role.
Yeah, so it would make sense. It would totally make sense in that. And while, look, there's no replacing a Nicole Kidman, totally understand that. But Robin Wright is sick talented.
Yeah.
She is sick talented. So while it's a shame that we're not going to get Nicole Kidman, I'm totally good with the Robin Wright.
Right.
I was really heartbroken, though, to hear that Sean Bean wasn't going to be in there. It's like, who else are you going to kill in Act 2 now? I mean,
I think it was a scheduling issue with his TV show or something.
Yeah, which might be, because he's actually having some success with his TV show right now.
He's alive, yeah.
I love that dude. I love Sean Bean. I've loved him ever since he popped up as a Bond villain, and I've been a big fan of his ever since. So that's really unfortunate. But it's a nice-looking cast when you pull it together. Robin Wright is the one to me that stands out as, Danny Huston too. Danny Huston, sick, talented actor.
I can see him playing the Sean Bean Ares character. Definitely
totally
he has
see
that gravitas to him.
If you haven't seen him in 30 Days of Night as the big bad guy, watch him in that. Like, I know most people know him as Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but watch him in 30 Days of Night. He's sick good. I actually think, look, Robin Wright and him are the two most talented people in this movie. And so it'll be really interesting to see how they use them, what roles they have. I hope they don't go to waste.
I definitely would not skimp on David Thewlis either.
That's absolutely his stuff in Harry Potter. He was so good in Potter.
Even his very first film I ever saw him in was Naked, which is an incredible film. It's an independent film. Check it out. Umberto, what about this cast?
David Thewlis might be Ares as well.
Yeah,
we
that's
just
very
don't
true.
know.
Yeah. Actually, that might even be a better fit. Yeah.
I was befuddled when I happened to be up that night and they dropped the press release like during after club hours, you know. I hired nightlife staff to cover the news beat. Jesus. But no, I found it odd that they released that news like on a Friday night when nobody was watching, and then I saw the cast list, so I was perplexed why they didn't mention who the roles were. Okay, that's, you know, the secrecy thing is getting a little out of hand. Just tell us, okay? And they didn't mention the screenwriters. I mean, it was reported last year they had 6 screenwriters. Let's throw up against the wall and see what sticks. You know, the big fear I have, and I'm going to be first in line, camped out, Star Wars style to see this. Big fear I have, and from what I've been gathering, is that DC only knows how to do Batman. They don't really know. I mean, not having a clear vision, having 6 different screenplays and taking the best of each one to see what fits is a little worrisome. And
that's how you get a Spectre. That's
yeah,
how you get
exactly.
That kind
and
of
then there's been some criticism of the picture. She looks like a Sith Lord there, practically. I think the picture's awesome, but I just read and see the reactions and stuff, and I mean, I'm digging it, So it's like, and look, we're getting Wonder Woman for the first time cinematically, So it's going to work, and I'm going to root for its success. Hopefully, it makes $1 billion, but. Let's see what happens.
You know why? As I pull this up, because I want to get the name right. You know why you were mentioning this before about why there was no mention of the screenwriter?
Right.
Because I didn't think they wanted to draw attention to it. Because the guy who is writing, who did the screenwriting, first of all, he did Ice Age, Continental Drift.
Okay. Was
the one, and then he that's right. It's Jason Fuchs. And he just did one that had everybody rolling their eyes. Oh yeah, he did Pan. That everybody was looking forward to so much. And as soon as that one went south, they stopped talking about who the screenwriter is.
Right.
And so that doesn't bode well.
But it could also be. I'm sorry. It could also be the Writers Guild Arbitration Committee. If there's 6 writers, the WGA is going to have to decide who gets final credit, like they do in all these movies. So it might be them. They haven't gotten to their hearing yet.
They could also have hired another writer that they don't want to announce yet to rewrite Fuchs' script entirely, a page 1 rewrite, just keeping just the spine of it. That happens all the time.
Of course.
It could also be the situation where that writer could also not get credited and just ghostwrite it, get a big fat check. I mean, these things happen all the time where people just come in, rewrite an entire script, keep the spine because they're like, look, we got to shoot this tomorrow. We're going to go every day, rewrite every single scene. And that happens more than you want to
absolutely.
know.
But it is concerning, though, that we are left to hoping for these unseen things.
Yes.
Because that is the one big glaring thing to me that is a concern. This is the thing that's a concern, is the screenwriter of this movie now, after seeing Pan. And I didn't want to believe the bad reviews at first. And then I saw it, and it's like, and yeah, a lot of the big problems with this movie was that script. That's the guy writing Wonder Woman. So that's the thing that has me a bit concerned.
Yeah, that's definitely, we're going to keep our eyes open about story reveals for sure with Wonder Woman. But so far, I love the cast. I like the picture. I think the picture is really intriguing and mysterious. So hats off to that. Let's move on to a thing I like to call minor mutations, where we're going to list off some like shorter news bits, and we're going to talk about whatever sticks to us. Deadpool in Sao Paulo. That's right. Ryan Reynolds is at it again, using social media and fun costume dress-ups and having some fun over in Sao Paulo. That's what he's announcing. Number 2, we've got the Justice League casting. The casting call somehow announced that Darkseid is going to be the villain for Justice League. Confirmed. So we don't know if that's true or not. It could have just been some kind of mistake that the casting people mistakenly used an earlier draft, is what I've heard, of the script of Justice League that now has been completely retooled. But come on, if you're really going to get all of Earth's characters together, especially a couple of aliens, to fight a bigger creature, it's either Brainiac or Darkseid. We'll have to figure. We'll know very soon, in 2 years. So number 3, we got the Joker's Ride. It's been revealed in a brand new short documentary, little short that's on YouTube channels all across the world. You can check it out and find out exactly what kind of car the Joker was riding in that Suicide Squad clip. Number 4, you got Creed director Ryan Coogler weighing in on race and directors for Black Panther the film. Now, rumor has it he's actually been possibly selected to maybe be directing the Black Panther movie. Now, I haven't seen Creed yet, but I saw Fruitvale Station. It was really, really good film. I've heard Creed is incredible, especially the direction of Creed. So if that is the case, I would love to see Ryan Coogler on. Let's talk about what breaks off to you guys with the minor mutations.
Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
They've been doing an outstanding Dominican home run hitting marketing campaign that has just been balls to the wall.
Yeah. I'll say this. I've never seen better.
Yeah,
I have never seen better.
And from Fox,
yeah, especially. I've never seen better.
They're gonna bust up because they're the first film out the gate in 2016. Yep. I think they're gonna. I mean, if Star Wars is #1 for the next 3 months, Deadpool will be the movie that dethrones it from the #1 position. Sure. But they've been just not getting out the park with their marketing, and people are loving it
because it's
That's
fun.
Smart marketing.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a guy born to play Deadpool playing Deadpool.
Right.
When we thought it wasn't going to happen because they already ruined the character with him playing Deadpool in Wolverine Origins. You're like, I guess they ruined that one. No, they didn't. They didn't give up. They got the film made.
Hear that? Keep trying with Fantastic Four.
That's right. Don't give up. There's always the possibility of making these things happen.
Oh, thank you.
So to me, the one that jumps out is Darkseid being announced as the villain.
Right.
I feel like it's not a big deal. Like people like, they have these movies. Look, Captain Marvel, sure, that could be, something that we don't want to talk about. What's going on with that? But at least with Justice League, who's the big villain? It's some creature from outer space. It's just not going to be like Starro, which is the one that got everyone together as a giant starfish. I don't think that's what's going to be going on. And that's the comic book Justice League. That's how they all got together. I don't think it's going to be Starro. They could throw a little starfish in there as like an ode, an homage to Starro. What's that? It's a starfish called Starro. But I think it's going to be Darkseid. I'd love for them to just get it over with and announce it. It's going to be Darkseid. Just like Thanos is the main giant villain who's been, behind the scenes for all of the Avengers films. I wouldn't mind them saying Darkseid's going to be Justice League. What do you think?
Okay, here's the thing, though. I am notorious. Some people hate that I do this. But I am totally fine with not sticking with the comic book. You hear me say this a million times. The first responsibility of the movie maker is not to be faithful to the source material. It's to make a great movie. I'm totally fine with taking liberties and all that kind of stuff. But what I have been hearing, and I don't put a lot of stock in this. Just so you know. But the whispers I've been hearing is that it's going to be Darkseid. And once again, I don't put a lot of stock in this, so please don't say this is a story that I'm breaking. It's not. But
Broken here on Collider Heroes by Jon Campea.
Very, very, very nervous that Darkseid, that's going to be Darkseid. But Darkseid is the result of Lex Luthor genetically experimenting on himself, turning himself into a character that we will know as Darkseid.
That'll never happen.
I do not want that to happen.
Whoever wrote that,
you're
banished from the nerd kingdom. Whoever wrote that, you're out. That's not going to happen.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past them.
Oh, come on. We've already lived through Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. We don't need to see that again, do we? Well, I've got a plan with my nuclear man. We'll be talking about Superman 4 very shortly. What do you think about this? Darkseid, is he going to be in it?
Originally, I heard this like a year ago. Dropped it when I was at my former outlet. Then the rumors started that we won't see him till episode 2 or Justice League 2. It's within the realm of possibility. At this point, I don't know. They just they know what, like, according to Frosty's interviews with Charles Robin, they have a plan laid out and stuff. So I think they know where they're going. I'm just not sure yet if it's going to be Darkseid. I think eventually one of the two or both, it's going to be him. It has to be him. It's the like you said, the equivalent cosmic being to Marvel's Thanos and stuff. So I think we'll see him. Yeah,
I think it makes sense to save Brainiac for the Man of Steel 2 and like involve the Codex and all this. It's right there. It's like it's right in your face. That's a perfect story to go with Brainiac, Man of Steel 2. Yeah. I hope they make that film. They don't just like drop Superman into Justice League and we have to wait like 30 years like we're waiting for Ben Affleck to finally announce. When is the Batman actually going to be shot? You're shooting all this other stuff. I'm happy for Justice League, but I want The Batman movie with Ben Affleck shooting now. I don't want to wait 5 years. So hopefully they announce that like in between while he's shooting Justice League, he's making his own film. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's in Variety this morning, actually, in the big Warner Brothers issue that he's going to try to ship time for, quote unquote, The Batman.
Oh, for real?
So I broke that.
Well, all right. I'm glad I missed that. But
no, I was going to tell you.
Say it again, because I didn't hear. What is it?
Variety came out with a issue. Their weekly issue this week is focused on Sujihara and Warner Brothers. I skimmed through it because Ben Affleck announced that it was an interview with Variety and he was nervous, of course, the expectations, and then the reporter went into talking about how he's going to clear up his schedule to do, quote unquote, be the Batman. Right. It's like, oh, that was interesting, but that literally broke right before I left the company.
Nice. Well, that's great news. Let's speak about some not great news. This week's Flashback is Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Yes.
In 1987, this bomb dropped out of the sky. What can be said about the super turd bomb that is Superman 4, The Quest for Peace? Well, first of all, it's the worst of all the Superman films that exist possibly on the entire universe.
That's saying a lot considering it came after 3.
That's right. It's possibly the worst superhero film ever made. This poisonous vapor clump of super stink destroyed the Superman movie franchise for over 17 years, starring the amazing Christopher Reeve, who will always be a great Superman from Superman the movie and Superman 2 as Superman and Clark Kent. This is a Golden Globus disaster on incredible scale. Any story that you hear about this is just painful to listen to. It's painful to watch. let's explore the horror. Umberto, give me your memories of Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Was what, 87?
87.
It was very painful to watch. Remember, I mean, millennials have it so good. They don't know, like for us that are a bit older that grew up in the 80s, all these bad, ridiculous superhero movies, this being the cream of the crop, you know. Unfortunately, I saw it theatrically.
Oh, yeah.
And I was cringing. I remember cringing, like, wow, this is a hot mess. And I was with my grandmother, actually. She came with me to the theater.
Nice.
You know, even she thought it was atrocious and stuff. So when grandma thinks the movie's atrocious, I think the movie's atrocious. But, you know, it's something, it's I don't know how it becomes some sort of a cult classic where, you know, like The Room, so bad it's good.
Right. You
know, that's what it is. But it's a hot mess. I mean,
I would never equate it to a masterpiece like The Room.
Oh.
This is below The Room. This is just garbage level.
Oh, man. This is painful.
John?
When you're watching a Superman movie and you start hoping that domestic violent Superman, drug addicted, drunk Superman from the Red Kryptonite or whatever it was from Superman 3 shows up, and you're hoping he shows up so things get better, that's a bad sign. I just don't understand. First of all, I applaud them. They were trying to capitalize on what was, you know, pop culturally very trying to think peace and nuclear war and all that kind of stuff. And Superman was on a great quest. He was on a quest for peace. How can it be any better? I just cannot think of a way you could have done this movie worse. And that's coming after 3.
I know.
Which was so bad.
A giant disappointment.
And then they did this. It's nothing but completely unfond memories of Superman 4.
Yeah, it's a horrible mess. I mean, I don't think anyone out there is going to defend Superman for the Quest for Peace. Have at it in the comments board if you really love this. Rock on, because I don't think a lot of people are going to really somehow come to your perspective. For me, it was an embarrassment when I saw it. It's still an embarrassment. But there are some really special things that are on YouTube. If you search for Superman 4, the Bizarro scene, they actually had a Bizarro character that they cut out of the movie. There's a 15-minute sequence where Superman, Christopher Reeve, fights Bizarro.
No way. I never knew that. Yeah.
So there's amazing sequences that exist on YouTube of like however long Superman 4 would have been, like 8 hours, because there's like all these sequences that they just cut out completely, and you're like, wow, they actually shot this entire sequence from beginning to end. It just doesn't have music or sound design really, but it's worth seeing the Bizarro sequence. Look it up on YouTube. You'll get an extra little flavory nut job off of this thing. It's horrible. Nuclear Man, everything about it, the special effects are garbage. It's embarrassing from beginning to end. It's just not executed in any way, shape, or form.
What about Lex Luthor's son?
Lex Luthor, played by Ducky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think everyone involved, like Gene Hackman was like, I'm never going to do Lex Luthor again. Thanks for screwing me. It's like, that's why I watched Superman 1, I watched Superman 2,
and then that's it.
And that's it. And then I watched Man of Steel. The other attempts are just like, Quest for Peace really did ruin the franchise of Superman. Remember, 2 years later, Batman came out, that Tim Burton made. And you're like, wow, this is like, for the time that it came out, it was like dark. It was like capitalizing on the Dark Knight and some of these other like more adult comic books that were being made and written while this piece of shit came out and ruined superhero movies for all of us. The comic book readers of 1987 were like, it's a golden age of comic books. We had Alan Moore writing Swamp Thing. You had like all these incredible, John Byrne doing Fantastic Four, Thor being drawn by Walt Simonson. I mean, it was just a brand new age of incredible, amazing stuff going on. Watchmen was being written by Alan Moore at that time, and this piece of shit destroyed it for everyone.
Yeah, well, Quest for Peace was the Superman version of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
that was
sure.
the Batman. That was that franchise that just killed the genre.
Yeah.
A bunch of years later, Batman decided to kill the genre with that thing. And
So-
I actually think Quest for Peace was even worse.
Yes, it is.
It definitely is worse than Batman and Robin, for sure. All right, enough talk about that stinker.
Thank God.
Let me just move on to something we'll talk about. We're not going to talk about the tepid, pale crumbs of Superman 4. Just want to leave that little flavor nugget in there for you guys. We're going to move on to what I think is one of the greatest comic book series written. It's called Planetary. So this week's spotlight is on Planetary, written by Warren Ellis and drawn by John Cassidy. This comic book follows time-jumping, time-shifting future time agents who are involved in uncovering phenomena of epic proportions, spanning thousands of years and tons of different multiverses. Warren Ellis kills it with this creation, not only the three main characters, a hot and cold powered guy named Elijah Snow, an IT super genius just called the Drummer, and an invulnerable super warrior named Jakida Wagner. This multiverse spanning jaw-dropping exploration into the archetypes of popular comic book characters like versions of the Shadow, Doc Savage, Godzilla, just like Kurt Busiek did with Astro City. We got Warren Ellis doing this with some of the Golden Age characters, also a really twisted, diabolical version of the Fantastic Four as the enemy, just called the Four. The artwork by John Cassaday is stunning and completely cinematic. This could make the translation from comic book to a movie or a television series. It's super very viewable when you actually read this comic book and look at the visuals. In your mind's eye, you'll see it as a movie. So let's talk about Planetary. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to check it out, but it exists right now, the entire 27 issues. Like, I was reading it from day one, and unfortunately Warren Ellis got sick and John Cassaday couldn't always keep up because his artwork is so detailed. So sometimes there was like a 2 or 3 month gap, and then at one point there was like a 1.5 year gap of waiting for certain issues. So now it's all collected into one big, amazing 27 issue run. Do you guys have, what are your thoughts on Planetary, if you have any?
I never read the book, but I am in perfect agreement. I think the studios should develop vice president of development at the superhero level and hire you, man. Yeah. But I didn't read it though. But I'm reading Warren Ellis's take right now on James Bond,
right?
Which is off the wall. So
yeah, Warren Ellis is just an incredible writer. How about you, John?
This is one that I remember. On the surface, it sounds to me like a version of Doctor Who in many ways when you talk about it.
Definitely.
This is, so look, this, and it also, it sounds like, I mean, I never would have thought this before. It sounds like this is something that maybe even Legends of Tomorrow is borrowing off of a little bit. In some way, shapes, and forms. So, look, this is one of those titles that I've never read this title before. I think a lot of people have never read this title before. But it doesn't sound like something I would turn into a movie. Personally, that's just me.
But once you read it, you'll change your mind.
Right.
That's why I brought it up, because it's very much like James Bond meets time travel. It's got this kind of like cool covert edge to it, and also like dips in and out, just like Astro City, dips in and out of like characters that we all know and love over the course of time and revisits them with a different spin on it. So
nice.
If you haven't checked out Planetary, it's my highest recommendation. Above and beyond, it's like on par with Miracle Man.
Really?
You got Nemesis, you got Planetary. Buy it right now. You'll do yourself a favor. Let's move on to Twitter questions. This week, we've got any news on the Chrononauts film, loved the comic by Mark Millar. So this is a comic book that came out
from Connor Jackson.
Yeah, Connor Jackson. Thank you, Connor. This came out by Mark Millar about 6 months ago and instantly got snapped up. Even before issue 2 came out, they were like, we're making a movie out of it. So I don't know if you guys have checked out the Chrononauts. I bought the first issue and I have not even read it because there's 6 more to read. I was like, I'll just buy the trade. I haven't read it yet. You guys heard of the Chrononauts or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a couple of issues. Like you, I haven't gotten to it. I have to get to Chrononauts, Jupiter's Legacy, RPM, and now the new one that he's got coming out, Huck.
Right.
Like the nice guy Captain America. But it's on my reading, it's on my to-do reading list, of course. It's Millar has like figured out a way, and he's found a niche for himself where he develops IP strictly to get pretty much option bait.
Right.
You know? Option bait. Let me make a superhero comic that gets snapped up by his studio. You know? So, and hey, I don't knock the hustle. And it seems to be working for him. And his Kingsman's successful, Wanted successful.
Definitely.
God, I hope they do Nemesis. I would love to see Nemesis.
That's the one
We've been talking about that since episode 1. Of Heroes.
Yes,
I would love for them to finally make some movement on Nemesis.
Yeah.
You know, and I like Jupiter's Legacy too. I think that's another series, or, you know, I think that would be a great television series as opposed to a movie. It could work as a movie as well. So let's move on. We've got If DC, by Anthony Kincart, asks, if DCU or CW have separate universes to tell the best stories, then why does WB keep taking characters from the CW?
That is a very interesting question. One that I ask myself, you know, because, okay, like, again, they bifurcate their IP. Right. They got the television division and they got the movie division.
Right.
Okay, if they don't intersect, why are you pulling characters out? It's something I'm investigating because I'm even confused and it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
I don't know, honestly. I just don't know the answer. You?
I think, look, even though they have 2 separate universes, Warner Brothers has always been very, very protective of their golden eggs. Batman, Superman. They've always been very protective of those IPs. In Gotham, you are never going to see that kid grow up and put on the cowl. You're just never going to see it. They are too protective.
10th season, you might see a black cape.
Yeah, at the end. That's what's supposed to end. The last.
Yeah, maybe he'll pull
like
something out, but that show's not making it 10 seasons. Although I will say, season 2 much improvement over season 1. Much improvement over season 1. So I'll give it that. But they are very, very protective of those, and they have their because they are their big cash cows. So they're going to protect those a lot. Characters like Flash, characters like the Arrow, there's like HawkGirl and whatever. They feel more comfortable and they feel a little bit more freedom in utilizing those characters in both a television universe and in a movie universe. And I don't think we're going to see that change. I think you're always going to see them be you're never going to see Batman pop up in Star City or wherever it is the Flash and Arrow do the things. You're never going to see Batman there. You're never going to see Superman there. But obviously these other characters, they feel like they have some more flexibility. They have a little bit more creative freedom to exercise them. And I got to tell you, right now, as a fan, I am super happy that they are two separate universes, that television is free to tell whatever stories they want, however they want, and they're not encumbered by the direction that the movies are going. And I think it's working for them right now. Because you watch a show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and for the longest time, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, by the way, in this season, they're breaking away more and more from the movie thing, and it's starting to get a little bit better. Because the first couple seasons, they were so hand-tied to what's going on, and they had to be so identified with the movie universe, that it just creatively crippled the show.
Right.
That's just my opinion, personally. And that's why I think Daredevil and Jessica Jones work, because they'll drop little references here and there.
Right.
But if you just drop in on that show, you would never know this show happens in the same universe as the Marvel heroes, and that's why they can succeed.
Yeah, and I mean, Jessica Jones is a perfect example. It's like, man, is it different than any of the Marvel movies? Whoa.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Tony Stark may be a playboy, but you ain't going to see him doing half the stuff that Jessica is happening in Jessica Jones.
You know what's interesting? Black Canary just earlier yesterday was announced as, you know, they're developing her possibly to be in Justice League as well, to possibly spin her off and Harley Quinn into a Birds of Prey film. So they're definitely still taking, like, well, Black Canary's been introduced in Arrow, like, what is it, 4 years ago? Now they're gonna like pull Black Canary, just like they're doing a Flash and I don't know if there's gonna be a Green Arrow, you know, movie version of him or not, but why not?
Why not, indeed?
Yeah. Well, maybe they're phase 2, whatever that is, after Cyborg. You know?
Yeah. I don't know if they could use the word phase. They have to come up with something different for Marvel, or Multiverse 2 or whatever.
There you go.
Chapter 2.
Yeah, chapters, you know, 2, whatever. Next question we got. Mohammed Said asks, is there a chance for the Question TV series? Since networks love police procedurals, doesn't seem like a bad idea. Well, Mohammed, you've got a great idea. I think that's,
we were asked that. I think about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Did that question not come up before?
It did. You know, it was actually, it was one of the, it was number 2 or 3 of the third episode where I said, look, the Question should be a TV show or a movie. That. And we're still waiting. So, you know, DC, get on it. I think it's a perfect one. I mean, look how well a lot of these procedurals have worked out. I mean, Jessica Jones is a procedural, Daredevil is a procedural. You know, basically, that's what they are.
Don't sleep if it ends up becoming a digital series on Amazon.
I would love to see that.
Netflix.
I mean, the Question's built for that.
You know, these OTT, the new world of the OTTs, of the digital networks and things like that, they are opening up new creative ground. Because, look, you never would have gotten Jessica Jones if they had to get her into the movie universe somehow, whatever. These OTT networks are giving us a lot of new creative opportunities that a lot of these titles that you bring up in this segment of the show every week could possibly have a home. And that's one of the great things about it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. And you get Kevin Smith on the Question. That's one of his favorite characters, so get him involved. Next question we got from Michael Branson asks, are you guys worried that after Marvel's Infinity War that they're just going to reboot the universe? What do you think? Infinity Wars 1 and 2, what's going to happen after that?
All their contracts lapse at the end of Infinity War Part 2. So either a massive renegotiation or maybe that. It's within the realm of possibility. My favorite term of the day, you know?
Yeah, because that is the question that I'm sure you get. I know I get more than anything else. You probably get more than anything else is, where do they go after Thanos? I mean, that's where do they go after that? I'm sure I have a lot of trust that Kevin Feige's already got a roadmap, but that roadmap might be that the Infinity War resets reality and they have to start again. I hope they don't, because I would like to see them, you know, draw back into the smaller stories. Like you have the law of diminishing returns, right? You have to save the neighborhood, save the city, save the country, save the world, and then save the universe. I'd like to see them now start stepping back. I'm hoping they're going to do that with the Spider-Man standalones, where Spider-Man is back to saving the neighborhoods and back. Daredevil is saving Hell's Kitchen. Right. He's saving the neighborhood, and that still has great dramatic effect. I would like to see if Marvel can go in reverse for a couple of years and then build back up to something on the grander scale.
Definitely.
I think though they might be going cosmic. If you look at the cards laid out,
you're right.
Laid out before us, they're going to give us hardcore Captain Marvel movie, an Inhumans movie.
Yep.
Okay, that That's the only big clue we have in the direction they make. I mean, because this company is in the business of making franchises.
Sure. Yeah.
So why wouldn't there be a second or a third Captain Marvel film or an Inhumans film? They're going cosmic, I think. Just again, based on what's before
Makes
us.
total sense. You could have a Warlock movie. You could have a Star-Lord standalone movie. You're definitely going to get Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
in that 2020.
But you can do that while Daredevil is still protecting Hell's Kitchen.
Totally.
And that's the great thing about that universe. They can go totally cosmic and still tell smaller stories.
Well, I think that Marvel Comics are the perfect answer to this question. You look at the Marvel Comics; they've had other characters fill in and take over the mantle or the the name place of Iron Man. You had Rhodes in there back in the '90s. You've had other people play Captain America. You've had different people be the Hulk. I mean, everyone is infinitely kind of replaceable in this world. You don't have to just recast the main character. You don't have to have someone take over Tony Stark. You can have someone else play Iron Man. Maybe Tony Stark dies, or maybe he just becomes a mentor or something like that. I see that more possibly happening in Phase 4, than them just rebooting everything.
Can I bring up a total pet peeve of mine,
Sure.
though? Total pet peeve of mine. What? This whole thing of the mantle of... fucking hate it.
Oh,
it's
he cursed.
Stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Because you know what? I'm sorry. Like, whoever they have playing Captain America right now, that's not Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. It's like if you try to bring it into the real world. Yeah. Okay, Wayne Gretzky, greatest hockey player who's ever lived, and his moniker was the Great One. You can start calling somebody else the Great One. That's fine, but that's not Wayne Gretzky. It's not really Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
You can have 8 other people put on the Batman cowl, but if it's not Bruce Wayne, it's not Batman. You can call them Batman all you want, but it's not Batman. And that's what drives me. What this trend right now is, now we have 8 other characters wearing the mantle, and now that's Iron Man. No, that's not Iron Man. That's just another guy wearing the suit. It's not really Iron Man. Tony Stark is Iron Man. Bruce Wayne is Batman. Clark Kent is Superman. And I just hate these. Like, just if you want to have somebody else as a character, make them their own character and stop giving them somebody else's name. Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
Well, what they did in the comic books is they did do that. They would give Dusty Rhodes played Iron Man. Well, I believe, I can't remember if Tony Stark was like just in another relapse of alcoholism or something. For some reason, I can't remember right now why he wasn't Iron Man. But basically, Rhodes put the armor. Well, it's not Dusty Rhodes. What was his first name? Dusty Rhodes is a wrestler.
The Dusty Rhodes is a wrestler, but it is Rhodes.
Yeah, Rhodes. I can't remember his first name right now.
Rhodey.
Yeah, Rhodey.
War Machine.
Yeah, War Machine. So, but what I'm saying is he turned into War Machine. So they spun that character who was Iron Man for an easy like 20 comic books. I remember. They spun him into War Machine. I think that happened with a lot of different characters. When Steve Rogers didn't want to be Captain America in the comic book anymore, he became Nomad. Then he became the U.S. agent. So there's a whole bunch of other people who were like pretending to be Captain America, but eventually Steve Rogers came back. So you're gonna.
Well, they did that Batman too, where Azrael, after Bane broke Batman's back,
and I
Azrael came
hated
back.
those comics. So it's like I agree with you. I like that Bruce Wayne is who Batman is. There's no replacing Batman. But we've had multiple Robins. You've had multiple people pretending to be Nightwing. So, I mean, that's the case in point with comic book movies. Eventually, Tony Stark is going to be, the actor is going to be 60. And then we're going to cut away to 10 years from now. Is he still going to be Iron Man, or are they going to just reboot it? I think the kid who was in Iron Man 3, whatever actor they end up getting, if it's the same guy or it's another kid, he's going to become Iron Man. Because Iron Man is...
Kid's too busy running
theory,
from dinosaurs right now.
Right.
In the comics, though, I suspect who leads the Mighty Avengers now? Carol Danvers.
Right.
And with all the feminism going on right now and the culture in Hollywood with opportunities afforded to minorities and women, I wouldn't be surprised if Carol's the one headlining the Avengers in the future.
Sure, why not?
I totally see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I
Mighty
think
Avengers,
the Avengers, that's the best case study of any kind of like, hey, they've had everybody. They've had 150 different superheroes have all been Avengers in certain one case. Like Spider-Man was an Avenger.
I'm pretty sure you were Avenger.
I was
in
an
the
Avenger
80s at some point,
in the
weren't
80s.
you?
I was. My name was the Dark Disciple.
The Dark Disciple.
I remember I lasted for one issue and they killed me. We got the sweaty question of the week. It comes from Thomas Bergstrom. Sounds like he's from Sweden. Do you think we'll see Mon-El Largond in a Green Lantern Corps movie? Any chance we'll see him in another DC movie? So Mon-El, also known as Largand for all you nerds. Mon-El, are we going to see him in a Green Lantern Corps movie? First of all, we have to get to the Green Lantern Corps movie, and that's still like 5 years away as far as, haven't they said it's not just Green Lantern, it's now going to be the Green Lantern Corps, so we're probably going to have 3 different Green Lanterns. You know, one of them's going to be
I mean,
Tyrese.
that's scuttlebutt. I haven't heard anybody from WB come out and say this is what is happening yet.
Right.
So the bigger question to me is, can we get a Green Lantern Corps movie at all? I mean, I think that is one property you can do really good things with. You know, and going off that rant I just had, like, to me, Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. That's who Green Lantern is. But a movie like that you're talking about, where you're doing a Green Lantern Corps movie, you can have multiple Green Lantern. You can bring in your Kyle Rayners. You can bring in your John Stewarts. You can bring in your Guy Gardners. You can bring in all these guys and have it fit and make sense and fulfill the wishes of a lot of different fans of all these various Green Lanterns. It would be something really cool. And if they do, then yes, what you're asking becomes a definite possibility.
Mon-El could be in it. I mean, a Green Lantern Corps movie could be an incredible anthology that also ties into one big story. You can tell different stories across all these different universes and eventually get it back to Earth, somehow relating it. It sounds like a really fun premise, at least, to have the Green Lantern Corps be the basis. They tried introducing Green Lantern Corps into the Green Lantern movie, and I found that was my favorite part of the film.
Yeah,
it was when they were I'm like, hey, can we just stay there?
That and the Fart Cloud. The Fart Cloud was clearly the best part of the movie.
Fart Cloud, I thought if Fantastic Four's purple Fart Cloud could just fight the brown Fart Cloud, that would be the ultimate DC Marvel crossover. Brown Cloud versus Purple Cloud, the movie. You guys heard it first. That's what's happening. DC and Marvel just had a handshake over a cloud dinner. And that's it for episode 34 of Collider Heroes. I'm Jon Schnepp. Umberto, where can people find you online?
You can find me at El Maimbe on Twitter and at heroichollywood.com. I want to wish the both of you a happy Thanksgiving. Very humble. You always allow me to come into your home and be on your show, so thank you for that.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Umberto.
Yeah.
John.
You can find me on the various social media networks, on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at Jon Campea. Monday through Friday on Movie Talk, Tuesdays right here on Heroes, Thursdays on Jedi Council, Saturdays and Sundays on Mailbag, Tuesday nights on the Flash recap show, Wednesdays on the Rebels recap show, and just about everything else for every waking minute of the day. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, and I'm Jon Schnepp. You can follow me just at Jon Schnepp on Instagram and Twitter. You can check out my film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, on either Showtime, or please rent it at www.tdoslwh.com. That's my website, support independent film. We've got a Black Friday special if you want to get the super pack with 8 hours of bonus features. Check it out, go online, and I'll see you guys next week on Collider Heroes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.